All right, good morning. Good morning. Here we are, early December. That's why I got my little jester's hat on here. And see, we still got some folks coming in. We got folks logging in from the mobile and all of that good stuff. If you want to add a comment, please drop it into the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on those things. Feel free to raise your hands, and I'll call on you as soon as I'm catching my breath, changing topics. And I really want this to be interactive and collaborative with you guys. I try to do this about 40 times a year, and so I have it on the calendar every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. And I try to record them, and technology doesn't always cooperate, or if I'm on the road somewhere and Wi-Fi is not strong enough to do the meeting and record video and all that stuff, then I don't record those. So, but I try to get them recorded for you guys. Good morning, Jonathan. I see your hand up.
Yeah, Dave. Is this session going to be recorded today?
I do have the recording on, and it tells me it is recording, so yes.
Excellent. So I had commented on our Gagnon group page yesterday about some things I want to talk about. Unfortunately, I have to go to an MLS meeting and pitch a luxury broker store for almost $2 million listing I have, so I'm not going to be in full attendance today.
All right, well, great. I will, yeah, so I can cover the topics, and so I encourage everyone to, post them in the Facebook threads as we do it. And so I can always cover the topics, and, and so I'll try to do yours first, because they develop better when you get to ask the follow-up questions, right? So, especially when it's a generic question, I might not go down the path that serves you best. So I believe was your question on the follow-up process or on converting maybes into yeses?
And somebody who's, semi-interested in converting them to a full go yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, so are you okay if I cover that topic first, and we can interact through it so I can make sure I answer it thoroughly for you?
Yeah, I've got about 10 minutes.
Okay, great. Hold on, let me just put my phone on stop calling me. Hold on one second. That may not be an option that I have anymore. Hold on. All right. So you've spoken with someone, you've done the 5 pillars conversation, or they've watched the 5 pillars video, and they're semi-interested, and you're looking for concepts to help move it to them coming on board, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so typically, what works best is being able to narrow it down to what is the real reason that it's not a yes currently. And so the first thing that I do is I want to test the water and find out what it would take, right? So the dialogue that I use is this. And so role play it with me if you would. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with a 1 being you have no interest at all and I should never call you again, and 10 being you're very excited about it and want to know what the next steps are so we can move forward, where would you put yourself on that scale?
Probably a 7.
Okay, great, Jonathan. Thank you. And so to you, what would it take to move it to a 10?
I think just the logistics of new signs and having to get everything listings moved over is kind of daunting in my mind right now.
Okay, and so as far as the concepts and the financial motivation and rewards and the equity and all of that, you get it, you understand it, you want to do it. It's just that it seems a little daunting.
Correct.
Okay. And so if I can, just make it easy peasy for you, it's a no-brainer. Would you be ready to move forward today?
I think so. Could you elaborate on how it would be easy?
Okay, great. So I'm going to pause it right there, Jonathan. And so that was a really good role play. Thank you for that. And so I just want to take a minute and go over the elements of the role play just so people can pick up on what just happened, right? Because it's easy to hear it and go, well, of course, that was easy, right? But so the first thing, I think the dialogue should be a script on the 1 to 10, right? Because we want to set the expectation that it's okay that a 1 and I'll never call you again is an option, and 10, you're ready to go forward today is an option. But we understand that you're not at a 10, and I want to know where you put yourself. Now, what I've found is if people say a 4 or less, they're really not interested, and there's nothing that you're going to say or be able to do to get them closer to a 10 today. Right now, we're going to put them into a follow-up campaign, try to find out what their sticking points are, and work on those over time. What I found is if someone will give me a 6 or higher, they're in, it's just when. And so if I can identify what's holding them back, now I can identify what needs to be fixed and what the timeline is on that, right? So that sticking point can be hundreds of different things. Every person's unique, but if you do enough conversations, I think you'll find that there's a dozen that come up all the time, and then just a whole bunch of one-offs. And so in this case, I'm going to focus on what your specific objection is, and then we can have other people share objections that they've come up with, and I can try to give you how I would handle those objections. So in your case, Jonathan, what I hear you saying is the only thing holding you back is the perceived daunting task of making the move over. And so what I would do, and I won't do the whole thing here, but let's make a list of all the things that need to be done in order to make the move, right? So new business cards, new signs, new logo for your website, I assume. What else? And I just want to I would go through the list with someone. So it just might be those 3 things, right? Business cards, signs, my website, or it might be, 100 different things, right? But I would go down the list. I would write down every single thing that is there so I have a comprehensive idea of what we're talking about. And so let's say it's signs, business cards, and website banner. And that's it. So wonderful. Let me tell you how we're going to mitigate that. You and I will set aside an hour, and I will bring you into the sign company together, and I'll help you with your business card template, and I'll work with your web person getting them the image for your website. If we could do all of that in an hour, would that make you comfortable enough to move forward?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's get the application started now, and here's the reason. You're going to put the application in. It's going to take us a day or 2 to even review the application at the state level, and what they're going to do is just validate that you are licensed in the state, and then provide that information to the state broker, who can then go through the process of validating that you would be a good addition to the team. That typically is a review of what you've done in the MLS, validation that you haven't done anything crazy with the state commission, those kind of things. And quite frankly, we're bringing in about 1,400 agents a month. So depending on how busy it is in your state, that could take another few days. And then once everything's approved, it's going to take us probably 8 to 14 days to complete the process. Now, if you're ready to go today and you're hopping, we can probably move you over in the MLS in the next 24 to 48 hours. depending on the state broker, and those things. So if it was in my state that I'm doing the most attraction in, I know the answers to that. If it's a state I haven't brought someone over in the last 3 or 4 months, I want to know the answers before I start talking about it that way. But let's assume you know the answers. And so let's get the application going today, and let's pick an hour for us to get in with the sign company and the business cards, and give me the information for your web people, and I'll get them the imaging for all of that, and we can take care of all of that in an hour. Fair enough? Does that make sense, Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay. Now the reality of it is, I would use Oakley Signs, and let's say the person we're looking to attract is Fred. I would say, Fred, you have the PDF for your current sign, or the proof for your current sign? Of course. And you have the graphics for your current sign? Of course. Well, let's get those in. Let's get those ready, and I'll make an appointment. We're good for 2 o'clock tomorrow, and then I would call Oakley and I'd say, look, I'm bringing in an agent. We need to design the sign. Here's their PDF or their graphics for their current sign, and if you can have a mock-up done for us when we come in and meet with you Tuesday, does that work? Right? If Oakley can't do it, Jack Pratt Signs does a on-the-fly design with a web presentation. So if they have all the graphics in advance and you have an appointment set, you can go in, and on the screen they'll have all the elements in there and say, oh no, it needs to be more blue, or blah blah blah, and they can design everything up and be ready to move forward with it. House of Magnets is the business card place. It's as easy as getting them a proof copy graphics for the current card, and they'll do a proof and get that done. And then for the website, we have all of the images available in our media library. It's just a matter of asking the web person what size they're looking for, and either send them the file or send them the link so they can download whatever file they need themselves. And there you have it. Right? So that is all wrapped up. And if I know how to do all of that because I've done it for myself, and I'm working with someone who is afraid of doing all the stuff, I'll do it with them. I'll be their business partner on it, and I don't care if it takes me an hour or 2 or 3, because if I'm bringing in someone who's going to help me grow my business, I will help them that way, right? If it's someone, in my downline organization, they're going to have someone, in between me and them that has done it themselves and can help them do it. So, and if not, just get in touch with the vendors. They want the sale, they'll help you do it. So in this case, what's holding you back? I would isolate it. If it wasn't for that, are we ready to move forward? Yes. Here's what I can think of as a way to make it easy. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, let's move forward and set those expectations, get the application in. Let's set up the next meeting. And I would keep setting up meetings with them until everything was done. Do not have them do an application and expect that they're going to end up on the other side happy. Attraction isn't an event, right? It isn't just getting the application in. It's a process, and it's getting them into the company, getting them settled, making sure that they're happy, identifying any bumps in the road, helping them give the feedback back to the company, you providing feedback back to the company where we can be better. All that kind of stuff, and that makes the company better. That makes onboarding for the next person better. You got to be fully engaged if you want to build a real company within the company. All right, good job on that one. All right, we got Brad with his hand raised up front. Brad?
Yeah, a side note and a question. The side note is what we've been doing is taking signs to a place that they completely design it like a brand new sign, but they just wrap it and only costs about $30 so that, like I say, that's my side note. But the question is, do you ever offer to buy them signs or get them wrapped? Like just X amount of signs. This is an issue that my wife and I go back and forth on. To me, it's putting a little value, and also it's investing in them a little bit to, maybe coerce them a little bit more, that I'm willing to pay for 3 of their signs or whatever to come over.
Yeah. So for me, not coerce them, right? I don't like that word in this context, but to really smooth it out for them. So the answer is yes. I want to take all of the stopping points along the way. So for example, so Nate is my son and my business partner, right? And so we work together, and we talk to people together. We're a team. He fills in my gaps, I fill in his gaps, and it really has been working great for us. So Nate and I keep an inventory of EXP signs for our state as well as a bordering state, because we do attraction there and it's not very far away. And so if we have someone coming on board and they're like, oh, I got 5 listings, so I can't come on board until my signs come in, and blah, 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 and I want to change my graphics and update my photo, and, so why don't we plan on me joining February? It's like, okay, other than having your signs ready, is there anything else other than stopping you? No, I love the model, but I really want to, get my signs done right, because I don't want to have to do it again. I say, well, great. The good news is we can get you started today. Nate and I have enough signs to put on your listings tomorrow. We'll meet with you tomorrow. All we ask is that you sign for the signs and promise to return them within 30 days, or in this case 45 days if you think it's going to take 45 days for your signs to come in. And then we'll help you through the process to get your signs ordered. And once your new ones come in, you deliver these back in reasonable shape. Fair enough? They say yes, we move forward. Okay? So what that's, we've done that enough that we have enough signs out that, we have had to order more signs. Right? So is that a good investment? I think it's a great investment. Signs run us, what, $55, $70 a sign, and I get to use them more than once, and I'm bringing in agents that are cappers or better. I think that's a great investment, right? So in our attraction pledge, what we all agree to is that we won't create an unfair advantage to compete with someone. So let's say Brad is talking to Fred and I'm talking to Fred, and Fred wants to join, and Fred's like, well, I'm not sure who I'm going to name as my sponsor. Brad, what do you give me? Dave, what do you give me? When we all agree that we're not going to compete for that, because whoever has the biggest checkbook is going to win that, and we don't play those games, right? Someone should join because they want to join, and they should name the sponsor who is truly their sponsor. In a non-competitive situation, I am going to do whatever it takes to help the person, make the move over. So, I've had someone where, the cards that they use are, far better than the basic ones that we issue. And I know that it's going to be an upcharge of, $75. I will cover the $75, right? It's like, for the most part, the people that I'm talking to are high-minded enough that they're not asking me to cover the $75 because they understand, they're saving $5,000 or $11,000 by making the move over, or they know they have influence with other people and they're going to make, an extra, $10,000, $15,000 in their first year just in revenue share. They're not going to nickel and dime me along the way, right? But if I have someone that's the sticking point, I'm not going to let $75 come in the way of us, making the move over. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you for asking that. And Brad, if you would, put your hand down. Otherwise, I'll call on you again. Perfect. Thank you. Let's see. Ryan says, so you have basically generic signs in stock that you just add their name to. I'm not even adding their name to it, right? So most agents work for a brokerage where they're using the brokerage sign and they have riders. And so I just want to have signs in stock that will accept riders, right? So either the slot on top of a post or the eye hooks to hang. And I'll ask them, so are you using riders on your Better Homes and Gardens sign now? Oh yeah, I have riders. Okay, what kind? Oh, I have the ones with the eye hooks and we hang them underneath. Well, good. I have the ability to do that, or I'll have Nate drill out some hanger holes and we'll get some S hooks so we can hang them on there, right? They say, nope, I got the kind that slide in. Great, we have the yard signs that have the panel that we can slide them in. If not, I'm happy to order 5 quick rider signs, right? I can do a rush shipment on those and have them in 48 hours, so their signs can be ready to go by the time they're moved over in the MLS. So there's 100 different ways to make it very smooth, and I'm not going to let $100 worth of riders or $500 worth of signs stop someone from making the move over today, because if they're ready to go today, I just want it to work. Make sense? All right. The other topic that was asked for in the private Facebook group is a process for follow-up. And I don't recall who it was who asked that. Are they here today?
That was me. This is Carrie's owner.
Hey, Carrie, great question. Would you mind elaborating a little bit and then I'll share?
Well, I think it's more once you explain the model and people are interested. I think what's happening is, they do have a few hesitations, not just around kind of the process of moving everything over, but they just may be kind of on the fence for whatever reason. And you don't want to seem pushy and you don't want to seem, like you are, I don't know the best words for that, but be within their mindset. So you want to be top of mind for them. So without being pushy, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So is this person that you're talking to local to you, or is there some distance in between you?
Well, for example, we had somebody that we met with yesterday who's local, and she's with another brokerage. She's considering bringing over 2 other folks, or she is going to talk to 2 other folks, and hesitations here and there, mainly around fees and other things. The other brokerage wasn't upfront on some of the she ended up having to pay for, but that's kind of neither here nor there. I think one of the things that we just want to make sure is that we kind of stay in front of her and just be top of mind.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so let me just share what I think are some best practices, right? So there's the in your face being connected, and there's the in your space being connected. So the in your space being connected, you can use these kind of things whether someone is local in your community or whether they're across the country. But I want to make sure we're friends on Facebook, because I try to post at least every week about fun things that are going on in my life. My latest grandbaby Petra is adorable, and I get great photos there. My other 2 grandchildren are precious, and I get great photos there. And so, it's my family, it's what's going on. I try to post and share something once a week, just so we're being connected that way. And then that gives me the ability to post once a month something that's great that's happening with the company. For example, we just did a press release on Jason guessing, right, getting the chairman's award. I will do a post on that. And now we're there, I can share my feelings about Jason personally. You guys will see that, come out. And I won't get all super mushy, but I feel blessed that I've met him and that I've been able to cultivate a friendship with him. And I'm very proud that he, got the recognition of being the chairman award winner for this year. And I think that shows the culture of the company, right? So I'm not in their face with recruiting stuff, but it's something awesome about the company. Another thing that just came out, so I want to space it out, but another thing that just came out is we announced that we went over 15,000 agents. That's a huge thing, right? 15,000, and we ended last year at 6601. 6601, and now we're at 15,000. That's more than double this year. What if it happens again next year? Oh my goodness, right? And so, without being in someone's face, it's, wow, what a great milestone. We were only 6,600 last year. Imagine where we'll be at the end of next year. Let's keep it rocking, right? I'm putting out a positive message without going, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I think one of the things that was attracted to me, I think I don't remember who I saw, but would put in messages regarding how it affects their life personally. So, hey, I was able to pay off, my car loan with, my share check or whatever that might be. I think those are also effective, but
Yeah.
We're still trying to learn that.
Yeah. Well, just think this way, right? If it affects you, it's going to affect the people like you that you want to attract. And so for someone is going to say, I hate it when people post that. I think it's braggadocious. Well, you're not going to attract that person, but you're not that type of person. So let someone else attract that person, right? And so just don't do things to do things. Do things because they're you. And so, I was talking with one of our leaders who, had attracted someone into their organization, and one of the things that they do is they ask them what their goals are and what they want to achieve and all of that. And this one person had said that their biggest concern was being able to pay for college for their child, and college was $24,000 a year. And the person's been with us a little over a year and is now making more than that in revenue share. And this person does a lot of attraction for that agent and is supportive of them and building their company within a company and acting like a good business partner, right? And so, if that person posts that they're grateful for EXP and for their business partner for helping them fully fund their son's college, someone else reading that who is thinking about how am I going to fund my preschool or how am I going to, afford this thing that I want to do or whatever, it may connect the dots for them and go, I would like to know how they did that, right? And so, and if it's not you yet, maybe you have heard a story that you go, wow, that's powerful. Share that, right? I think attraction has a couple components to it. One is the ability to do the 5 pillars effectively, which is to cover the 5 major reasons why agents make the move over. And no, not everyone has the same interest level in all 5. My job is to ensure that you know all 5 and help you understand the 1 or the 2 that are most important to you and how they can impact your business, right? So if you can do that, I think that's an effective business presentation. And then the other thing that I think is powerful is telling stories. right? And so knowing other people's stories, being able to share them effectively, I think is a powerful attraction tool.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, those are the kind of things that I do for folks that are remote. And so there's a book out there called Jab, Jab, Right Hook, and it's about using social media effectively, right? So engage with people with things that are about you, that are sincere and about your life, and that will connect you to another human being. Those are the jab jabs. And then the right hook is your business message. Let's see. Ryan, would you mind turning your mic off? I'm getting some feedback there. And I'll give you a shout right after I'm done this piece and pull you in. And so just on feedback, if anyone's getting feedback from me, also, if everyone would wear a headset or earbuds, that stops your laptop speakers from picking up your laptop microphone and feeding back. And I can't do that because I'm recording the session, and the only way my computer can record it is off my live voice, not off my microphone. So I'm sure there's a technical way to fix that. I'm just not bright enough to fix it. But that's why you might get feedback from me when you open up your mic. But anyway, so jab, jab, right hook, right? Connect with me, I connect with you, love that pumpkin pie recipe, love that you shared this, or I agree with you on that, here's what's going on in my life, here's a share that I think is worthwhile, those kind of things. And so I find that many agents are very effective on connecting with people in social media. The right hook is your business message, right? So it's either, hey, let's congratulate, Mike and Sherry, on their first house. I was so honored to be their agent, and helping them through the trials and tribulations of, getting to into their first home. Congratulations to you guys, blah, 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 right? And so if that's once in a while, then that's conveying your business message. In attraction, it's the same kind of thing, right? You don't want to be all about attraction and why agents should be here and those things, but communicating, once a month or twice a month with it layers in your messaging about agent attraction. But the only way it's effective is if people will follow you and read your stuff. And so they have got to find you interesting and be connected and read your stuff. So anyway, that's more of a distance thing. Also with the distance thing, let's invite them in to a session that they would like to attend, right? So if I were talking to Carrie and I said, well, what's the number one thing, or what are the top 3 things that you would like to learn more about to grow your business in 2019? And let's say it was, building a team or understanding, people's behavior that might tie into a DISC profile training session, or maybe it's lead generation, right? So let's say it's lead generation. I could then call Carrie and say, hey, I was just looking at the training calendar for next week, and I see that we're doing a training session on KV Core, and I think that's a great tool. I'm generating a couple of great leads every month with mine. Do you have time to come into the world? I'm going to the training session anyway. Why don't you come in as my guest, and you'll see, how we're using some of this stuff. And so I'm not asking them if they're ready to join. I'm just inviting them in, right? And so inviting into that, I think, is huge. And just remember, January 9th, I think, is the day. You won't be able to come into the cloud office without a guest invite, and they will expire. And you won't be able to come in without having everything linked to your passport login. And that's because we have an open platform. We've invited people before who didn't come. They're our competition, and they come in and they get to use our stuff for free. In fact, there's one broker out there who brags that if you join his brokerage, you get all of our training for free. and then he brings all those people in to get trained, and none of them are here, right? So we'll start doing guest passes and allowing people to come in for a limited time so they can get the experience, but they won't be able to come back in without being invited. So just learn how to do it so you know how to do it when you're bringing a guest in. And so another thing is, dripping. And so I don't believe in standardized drip campaigns because they are spammy, right? So if I say, in 3 days, drop this, in 7 days, drop that, it all works great if everything works the way I think it's going to work. But what'll happen is, let's say you call me and we have a great conversation and we agree that the next thing we're going to do is get together for a cup of coffee, and then the system automatically sends you an email that you were scheduled to get from a previous drip that says, hey, I'm hoping we can get together, give me a call, and now there's confusion, right? Because you're doing one thing and the system did something else and you forgot to turn it off or whatever. And so if you're going to use drips, I would use drip to-do campaigns, which would be assigning a to-do to you that says, hey, in 7 days, call Fred, and then it comes up on my calendar and it's like, oh, I did call Fred. Actually, Fred called me 3 days ago and I got coffee with Fred next week. Now I can tell myself what my next follow-up is. And so the tool that we use is bucket driven, and you don't have to buy a tool or anything like that. I'll tell you two things that I've used that are free. The first thing that I used was a shoebox, and I learned that from Tom Hopkins. I've seen other people steal the idea and claim it as their own, and Tom Hopkins might have stole it from Zig Ziglar, I don't know. But with the shoebox idea, you get yourself a shoebox, you go to Staples or Office Depot, and you get yourself 2 index card dividers. One is the one that goes 1 through 31, and the other one is the one that goes from January to December. And you put them in the shoebox, and then you buy 5x8 cards or 3x7 cards. I use 5x8 cards. And then if I have a card and I talk to Fred, I'm going to put my notes on the card, and I'm going to put what the next thing is I'm supposed to talk to Fred about. And if today's the 5th and I'm supposed to talk to Fred on the 12th, I'm going to drop it behind the number 12. And when the 12th comes, I pick everything out of that day, and my entire to-do is there. And so I talk to Fred on the 12th, and we agree that the next time I'm going to meet with him is the 21st. I'm going to drop him in the 21st. If we agree that the next time that I'm going to follow up is next June, I'm just going to drop him into June, right? And so every day I pick up the cards that are in that day, and I talk to everybody that's on there, and then I decide what my next action is, and I put it in the next date or the next month that it's due, and I just work my way through the box. And so I did that for 15 years as an agent, and I did that when I started recruiting for the old company that I was with, and then I moved into using a CRM. And CRMs can be great, and you can automate them and all that other kind of stuff, but I found that if I put people into drips, I got very uncomfortable with that, because they would start getting messages that weren't relative to where we were because things were moving forward. And so I moved all of my CRM type touches to actions for myself, not communications going out. And so if the action is to email you a message, I'm going to have the message saved in my Google account, right? So you can have automated responses in there. And so I have one for a missed call. I have one for thank you for the meeting. I have one, let's get together. I have one for all these things that can come up. So I have 10 or 15 that are in there, so I don't have to rewrite them every time. And so I click the automated response. I add a custom line or two at the top, and I get to send it out. It's very quick. It's very efficient. But the to-do would be for me to send the email to you, not to have the email go out automatically. That's just how I do it. Same thing with texts, right? So I might decide that my text for today, let's say today's a texting day, and let's say my text for today was hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday, right? And so I'm going to write up a quick text. Hey, hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. It's a great time of year for giving thanks, and part of my process is thinking about the things that I'm thankful for, and one of the things I'm thankful for is getting to know you this year. I would love to get a cup of coffee with you before Christmas. When are you available? And so if that's the thing that I'm sending out today to everyone that I'm working on in my local area, I'm going to copy that, and then I'm just going to go through my database and pick the people that I'm going to send it to, and I might send it to 25 people or 150 people, but it's all a text that is relevant to them. It's not everybody in my database. Not everyone am I thankful for. B, not everyone is close enough for a cup of coffee, right? But let's say the convention is in June, the shareholders is in June, and we're now in May. I might do a text, hey, just thinking, make my plans for the convention, blah, blah, blah. I really think it would help fill in some of the gaps that you have about EXP, and I'd love for you to come. Do you have time to talk about it tomorrow? And send that text out to everyone, right? So it's a way to stay in touch, which to me isn't a lot of time. It's just putting time aside and focusing on the people that I want to focus on. And I'm using technology to help me. I'm just not having technology do all the work for me, because if I can be replaced by a robot, there's no need to pay me, right? So anyway, I don't know if that answered your question, but I sounded really good to myself there for a while, so I just kept on yapping. Sorry.
Thank you for that.
Did that help?
Yes, it helped a lot. I think that there are so many different ways you can stay in front of someone. So yes, no, it helped quite a bit. Thank you.
Okay. And so all of that stuff I use on everyone. However, if someone's local, there's a lot of other things, right? There's a old saying that I heard that I try to live by, and that's never eat alone, right? And so if I'm in the building mode, I would rather have breakfast with someone that I could build my company with. I see Bill and Connie are in here. And I had the opportunity to break bread with them. And, for me, talking about the opportunity is easy. I've done it so much that, I know everything that I'm going to say. I know every response because I know every question. But when I get to meet with people that are as awesome as Bill and Connie, I get to know them, and I get to know their passion and how committed they are to support the heroes in their community, and to help the firefighters, to help the teachers, to help the medical profession, to help our veterans, right? And so I get to know them, and I get impassioned for them, right? I want to be in business with them. And I'm fortunate enough that they have chose to join our company and to be part of our group. And so on a go-forward basis, like I'm doing, I just bought a house. I'm really excited about the house. And I was planning on doing a holiday party on December 15th, but I need to travel on the 14th, and it'll extend into the 15th. There's a lot of holiday things going on and all that, so I decided to do it January 5th, right? So now it's a housewarming party on January 5th, and Connie and Bill are in my RevShare group. Most certainly they're invited. But if they hadn't joined yet, they would still be invited, right? I want to be in business with them. I want them to be around the people that I'm in business with. I want to have a relationship with them. They're good people. Whether they're here or not, they're good people. I want to be in business with them, if not today, someday, right? And so for the people that you're looking to attract locally, what are you doing in the next 30 days or 60 days where you can invite people to? We're planning a lunch and learn for, I think, January 7th or 8th or something like that. And so once we get that locked down, I want to make sure Bill and Connie know that we're doing one in the Manchester area, we're doing one in southern Maine or eastern New Hampshire, and I want them to be able to come because I get to know them better. I want them to be able to bring people because I get to help build their business, right? And so that's how I would stay in front of them locally. And so I think it's good to have a long distance ability to stay in touch with people and to be able to call them and text them and stay in communication. And then locally, I think we got a lot of opportunities, especially around holidays, right? And so you get into midsummer and there's no holidays. Well, I rent a boat and then I invite the people that I want to hang out with. And if they can't make it, that's fine. I got to talk to them about coming up and hanging out on the lake. And if they come, even better. I get to hang out with them on the lake, right? And so, just be you, right? Be a friend. Be someone that people want to be in business with. Be attractive, right? The best way to be an attractologist is to be attractive. So, I hope all that helps, and I hope that serves you well in your growth. Ryan, sorry I missed your hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you.
Okay, you kind of covered this a little bit, but I guess my easiest way to put my question is there any templates for agent attraction follow-up to use available?
That's a really good question. Just turn your mic off there, Ryan. Thank you. Oh, still on. All right, thank you. Yeah, if your mic is on, I get looped back. That's a really good question. So the question was, is there templates that we can use for follow-up? Here's the problem with that. So when I was with my old company, I was a team leader 7 years at KW. They had someone who created templates to use in Top Producer to be able to send out to everyone, right? So you open up a new office, and here are the 15 messages to send out that are going to let people know about the company and encourage them to set an appointment with you. Well, all of that is well and good. All of that is well and good if you're the only one sending it out. But what happened was everyone who wanted to grow their profit share paid for the product so they could send it out. So now imagine you're one of 800 agents in a community and you're getting 12 of the same email from the same office, 12 different people. A, you're going to block everybody. B, you don't feel special, right? Someone doesn't even they don't even care about you enough to write a personal message. And so what would happen, I did 7 offices for Keller Williams, and they were all relaunches, right? Meaning that they never got off the ground, or they got off the ground but weren't getting to where they wanted to be, or they got off the ground and went backwards. And in every office, that was one of the problems. Everyone sent automated crap. And so that's bad, right? And that's why everything that I teach, Ryan, is make it personal. And even when I have canned responses, right? So Gmail allows me to have saved responses, and it's in their canned responses piece. And so I have one in there that says, hey, sorry that we missed our meeting today. I'm really looking forward to chat with you. Please let me know what works for you next week. And if I don't hear from you by Monday, I'm going to have my assistant reach out to you to get you back on my calendar. I hope everything's okay. I do look forward to talking with you next week. Right? I can use that every single time. I already had an appointment set with you. Or if I'm calling you for an appointment, I could have one that says, hey, I just wanted to let you know I just left you a voicemail, asking for a time for us to get together next week. I know that your calendar is going to be super crazy with the holidays coming up, but I really think this is important enough, for you to look at your business plan for next year, and I'd love to chat with you. You got time next week? Great. I'll give you a call on Monday to follow up. And I can go in and I could add 1, 2, 3 lines to the beginning of that makes it more personal, and I don't have to write an entire paragraph. And so there are things that you can do to automate your life, but the way you would write something and the way I would write something would be different. And if I were writing it to someone who was managing an office versus someone who's new in the business, I'm going to write it differently, right? And so anything that we can think of that automates it, depersonalizes it, and then why should you be the sponsor? What value are you bringing to the conversation? And so I always rail against anything that is systematized to the point that it's not personal. And saying, hey, Mike, or hey, first name, isn't personalizing it, right? So anyway, and the more I get to know someone, the more I want to, layer in something personal. So for example, Bill is here in the room today, and he's in the group. But if he wasn't in the group, I would have done the same thing. So I have Rhino on my plate, on my license plate, on my truck, and Bill has an affinity for rhinos and the rhino attitude and all of those kind of things. So he and I got to connect on that. I was in Hawaii last week, and Bill, I don't even know if you're on a microphone, have the ability to chime in, but if you can, could you let everyone know what I texted you for a photo?
Yeah, I sent you it's a rather large replica of a black rhino, and I put it in my backyard on the edge of the woods and sent you a photo and said I was out in the backyard and look what just came out of the trees.
Yeah. So Bill sent me that, and it made me smile, of course, right? Because now we're rhino spirits. And did you get the photo that I sent you from Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm in Hawaii at the Hilton, and they got all these great statues there. One of them's this life-size rhino, and so I got to take a picture of me with the rhino and send it to Bill, right? I would have sent that to Bill whether he was my partner in the company today or if he hadn't joined yet, right? That's personal, right? I would want to build a relationship with Bill if he's in the company or not in the company, if he's someone that I want to be in business with, and I would not send Bill an automated message about the 5th pillar because, and if I sent that to everyone, how do I know I'm sending it to someone I want to be in business with, right? So to me, attraction is a full contact sport, and I should know you, you should know me. Why do I want to be in business with you? Why do you want to be in business with me, right? The model of EXP is something that I think fits 99% of the people. Being in business with me is an added value, right? Being in business with Bill and Connie is an added value. They do things, I think, that are very unique, that people who would join under them would get additional value, and they get me too, because I'm in their upline, right? And so Bill and Connie's value proposition is different than my value proposition. and it's different from your value proposition, Ryan. We all have the company value proposition in there, and then we have the other things that we bring to the table. Like, I can make your onboarding smoother because I got some signs I can loan you, right? Or if I'm Brad, and it's like I can make it easier because for $38 we can just wrap the signs that you have, and the wraps can be done in 48 hours. We can pick them up on Friday, and I'll help you wrap them, and we'll go and we'll have a sign swapping out party as soon as we get you moved over in the MLS and get your ICA signed, right? So so you guys all have tremendous value, and the biggest value you have is the relationships that you can build, because if I'm talking to someone that I don't know, it's going to take me some time to get to know them, right? But once you find someone you want to be in business with, to me, it's just a process until you're actually in business with them. Did that help you, Ryan?
Yeah, it did. Made a lot of sense. Thanks. I use Top Producer right now to sort of stay, and that's kind of why I had that topic on my mind, because I was wondering if there was a way to, mainly like you mentioned earlier, the 4s and belows, as far something, just generic. But I totally understand what you're saying. And you mentioned rhinos. Rhino's my nickname. And my wife and I and my sponsor are actually planning on coming out in January to your event. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's just talk about the event real quick too. Let me finish my thought on Top Producer first. So Top Producer, great tool, great. But I would use it as an event for you to create your personal push, right? And so let's say the personal push is the announcement that we just hit 15,000 agents, right? And so I'd put a link to the article, and I would just write something that was like this. Hey, first name, right, because it's in a database. Hey, first name, I just saw this press release from the company, hitting 15,000 agents, and I thought you'd like to be, kept in the loop about the exciting things that are happening. More importantly, I was thinking about our conversation that we had, and I know you weren't, ready for making a move back then, but I'm hopeful that you are more open-minded to the opportunity of what 2019 can bring. Give me a shout. I'd love to catch up with you. Right? And so I would have no problem kicking that out from Top Producer, but I wouldn't have set that up 6 months ago to automatically go out. Right? I'm personalizing it with a current event and those kind of things. The other thing you can do in Top Producer is you can set it that you review each email before it goes out. And if you're going to use something like Top Producer to do that, I would turn that setting on. And don't call me on it. I haven't used Top Producer in 5.5 years, so features change. But back when I used it, you could choose that as a feature. So even though I might have 200 emails going out, each one would come up in my dashboard, and it would allow me to go, oh crap, I don't want to send it to this person because they joined and I never took them out of this contact list, so let me do that now. Or it's a great message, but I want to make sure that I reference a rhino with you, Ryan, and I can't build that into everyone's message, right? But your nickname's Rhino, and so maybe my opening line would be, hey Rhino, I know that you're a hard charger. Let's talk about charging hard into 2019 and grab a cup of coffee. Do you have time early next week? If I don't hear from you, I'll call you, right? So I'm trying to use the system to set the appointment, but if I don't hear from you, I want to be able to call you anyway. And then the rest of the message is the same. And so if I were using a system like that, as long as I can touch the message and personalize it before it goes out, I would do that. And if I'm using my Gmail auto or canned responses in the same way, that does it without having the charge of having a Top Producer. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks a ton. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And then I had another great point that I wanted to make, and I forgot what it was. Let me go back to Allie, back of the room.
I'll try and keep it quick. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm going to ask you to hold that thought, though, because I remembered what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about our event coming up in January in Phoenix. So let me just talk about that real quick. Of course, it'll be a great event. The thing I want to encourage you to do is to not only come yourself, but ensure that you're doing your best to get your downline there, because it can impact them in a much bigger way than you can possibly bring back yourself. And do not hesitate to bring people that are looking at the company. If someone is thinking about coming over and RevShare is part of their thought process, bring them. Trust me, by the end of the day, they will understand it very, very well. And if they don't coming off of that event, they're never coming, in my humble opinion. All right, Allie.
Okay, and keep it quick. I just a couple days ago sent out a dozen messages to people I know, but I hadn't done a transaction with, just friends on Facebook, and I said, "Who's the best real estate agent you know?" Anyway, I'm meeting her here shortly. It's probably only a 15, 20-minute call. Face-to-face, belly-to-belly, whatever. Said she's comfortable in her environment, but she's curious. So if it were you, would you just take that time to ask her questions? How do you do a 15-minute quick explanation of EXP?
Well, yeah, so I always like asking the question or making the statement, tell me about yourself, right? And just leave it open. And if they give me a 3-minute version, then I'm going to run with that. If they give me 15 minutes and it's all about them, trust me, it'll be the best meeting they ever had all week, right? And so, tell me about yourself and listen to what they're saying. Because whatever is important to them to respond to that is what I'm going to focus on. And so let me give you an example. Usually if someone asks about me, the first thing I talk about is my family. One of the jobs I had interviewed for, it was, it opened up with, tell us about yourself. And I wrote 3 paragraphs about being a dad. I didn't talk about what I had done in the industry until the end, right? And then I knew I could get into this is what I did, and this is why I'm great, and this is why you should pay me a ton of money. But if I ask someone to tell me about themselves, and they say, well, I'm a hardworking mom, and I have 3 beautiful children, and all of that, then what I'm going to focus on EXP is how the model can help them spend more time being a great mom, right? And my questions to them would be, well, tell me how your current business takes away from being a great mom. What are your challenges? And they say, well, you've got to do a showing when you got to do a showing, right? Well, if I can show you where you can have more flexibility, is that something that's interesting to you, or whatever? So, and if I say, tell me about yourself, and they say, well, I do 30 listings a year, and I do this and I do that, then I'm going to focus on how we can help them do more of that. So I think if you have a short period of time, the best thing you can do is ask them about themselves and what's important to them. And then if you only have 15 minutes, right, it's only a cup of coffee, then it's easy to say, you know what, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you said you only wanted to spend 15 minutes. And I think the most important thing for me was to get to know you better. And I think that's the beginning of a good relationship. Based on what I've heard about you, you are someone that I would like to get to know, even better. And I want to take the appropriate amount of time to show you how this model can help you in those things that you said were most important to you. Would you like me to get into that now, or do you want to set up, another, meeting where we can have some more meaningful time?
Would you bring the quick reference, the one page?
I would never hand that out without talking about it first, right? This is how I look at everything, Allie. Information is easy. If the company could have got to 15,000 agents by sharing information, and they didn't have to incentivize us with stock or with revenue share, it would be better for the company and the shareholders to keep all of the money. Does that make sense? Right, so if it was a one-page sheet, or if it was a pre-recorded video, or if it was a drip campaign, then they don't need us. There's no reason to pay us. And so anything that we have is either to open the door or for reference after we've done our job. Our job is to tie the benefits of the model to the person's goals, dreams, aspiration, life. That's our job. That's a skill set. That's a human-to-human thing, and no systemization can replace that. I talk to people all the time. I always ask the question, who are you talking with today about EXP? Usually they say no one. And I say, what have you heard? And for a lot of people, it's like, I've heard a lot, I've been following you guys. And I say, well, great. Tell me about how you feel about the 5 pillars. Well, what's that? Well, it's the 5 major reasons why people are coming. What do you think they are? And they might say one thing or 2 things. Usually they say nothing because they haven't looked at it enough. Someone shared something with them and they made the assessment that it wasn't worth their time. And then I asked for the permission to, share the 5 pillars with them, because one of the 5 might be compelling to them, but more importantly, if they want to be my business partner, they should know the 5 pillars because all of them are interesting to somebody. And so if it's okay with you, I'm just going to cover them with you real quick. I'll share a video with you that gets into them in more detail. I gotta leave behind a piece that has all the facts, but let me share them with you, if that's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can you remind me of the 5 pillars?
Yeah, and I recorded the 5 pillars on the YouTube channel, so there's a video there called the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars are training and education. Number 2 is technology, which I talk about the cloud and KV Core. The 3rd is the financial model, where I talk about 80-20, $16,000 cap, the team deal, and the mega team deal, if I'm talking to a mega team leader. The 4th pillar is the equity model. I talk about the 3 elements of equity, where we have the awards for doing the first deal, for being a capper, and for bringing other agents who do business. The stock bonus program, which gives you the ability to get stock at a 20% discount versus buying it publicly. And the icon bonus, which is huge, huge, huge. If you're an icon, it makes it a no-brainer. If you know icons, it makes it easy to attract great people to the company. And then the 5th pillar is the revenue share model. And whether you're someone who introduces a couple of people a year or someone who can influence many, many people, it can have a great impact to you and your family.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Well, I know we're over the time a little bit. Sorry that it was a long one today. Thank you, everyone, for asking such great questions and role-playing with me. I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk with you soon. Keep it growing. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave.